You're listening to This Week in the World of Football, which is coming to you from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. The purpose of this podcast is to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. The intent is to educate, inform, and entertain you, the listener, with the glorious buffet that is the world of football, while also keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. You can find this show on a multitude of podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Timestamps are provided in the show description, so you can jump to the topics you really want to listen to. So without further ado, let's kick off this week's show.
Hello again, everyone. This is episode 397 for June 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the matchups for the UFL and National Arena League Championship games are set, the Canadian Football League season has begun, and Aaron Rodgers finally signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Our long national nightmare has finally ended, and we now know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing and subsequently ruining the next franchise on his list.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Like the Pittsburgh. Why? Why, Pittsburgh? Would you even want to deal with this? You're such a classy organization.
I don't know.
This just... I don't wish for bad things to happen to the Steelers, but... this is going to bite him in the butt.
I think so myself. I think that possibly you could see Mike Tomlin's first losing season as a head coach.
They're scheduled as, even with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, and I even mean like a competent Aaron Rodgers. Like if he even played like the way he kind of did in that last game of the year for the Jets, I still think the Steelers they're fighting an uphill battle this year. When I looked at their schedule, I'm like, yikes! I don't see a whole lot of W's, even with that Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. All right, not only do we do this weekly podcast, but we also make YouTube videos.
We make one video?
Yeah, we've done so much lately. We currently have over 550 videos on our YouTube channel, with the newest ones being our AF1 Week 13 recap that we just did. We haven't done that one yet.
No, you messed up.
Yeah, that's going to be... Usually that's done on Monday night, but they had a Monday night game, so we're going to do that tomorrow night.
Yep, so we'll have AF1 Week 13 and 14 recaps for you
by the next
podcast.
Yep. We did have our first Canadian Football League weekly recap for Week 1. Yep. Did that last night. It's our second year of doing that. And I was also on the Pigskin Dispatch again, talking about the 1957 Lions Championship game with our friend Darren Hayes. That's the fourth one I've done with him. I did the 35 game, the 52, 53, and now 57 games of the Lions Championship. So it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot doing all the research for that.
It was a good episode. Yeah, I love Darren. Darren's great.
Yep,
he's
a good
puts
guy.
On some good stuff. One of these days we'll have to get him on the channel to do something. I mean, got to figure that out.
Yep. He's already talking about having me on for some more content later on. He's got some other things in the works.
Anything with me? I know he asked me to be on the Lions ones, but I've been, busy.
You didn't want to do that much research.
It was a mix between that and I figured you'd be better about that, but it's just, I would have just dragged that show down.
Yeah, probably. Okay.
What? Hold on, wait a minute.
And then next week we'll also have our CFL weekly
Week 2
video.
Looking forward to it because now the Blue Bombers will enter the fray.
Yep.
So
it'll
be very interesting to see.
Yep. All right. This week we have scores from 38 games in 9 different leagues from across the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and Europe, including 4 playoff games. So when you hear someone say that they can't wait for football season to begin, and you know someone will, you have our permission to laugh right in their face. So now, let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football, and we're going to start off this week with the scores from the UFL. On Sunday, the 2 playoff games were played in the USFL division. It was our beloved Michigan Panthers finally getting a win over the Birmingham Stallions by the score of 44-29. This is the first time in 8 tries that that they beat Birmingham. They said it was 7. Everything I've read or heard, it was always 8. This was their 8th meeting, and they hadn't lost. But when the guy was presenting the trophy, he kept saying that this was, it took 7 tries to get a win. So I don't know if it's 7 or 8, but it's a long time to not
It's
beat
still
a
alive.
team.
They're still they've never done it. It doesn't matter if it's 6, if it's 7. They didn't do it until right here, trying to go to the championship game.
Yep.
But
Michigan was up 21-6 in the second quarter. They were up 21-14 at halftime, and they were up 28-14 in the third. This was. I watched pretty much all of this game.
I watched this whole game.
Great to see them, get a win.
It was cool because they just looked physically.
Yeah.
Finally ready to play the
Yep.
Stallions. The Stallions seem that it didn't matter who played quarterback. They've been able to string wins together, and they always end up on top at the end.
Birmingham,
and they did another quarterback cheat. It was eerily similar to last year's USFL championship game where the Panthers had a nice lead. I think they were up 18-6, and they ended up losing last year. And this year it was kind of the same thing, and they've switched quarterbacks at the half. So this year they swapped quarterbacks. They went to Matt Corral in the second half, and he looked great. He was slinging it. And I got nervous for a bit. I was like, are we about to do this all over again? And luckily the Panthers held on. They played fairly mistake-free. There was one turnover there where it was like a bang-bang play. One actually went in their favor where we thought it was a fumble return for a touchdown, and it wasn't. Then the second time it was like, I don't think he got that. That technically is a catch. And then they said, oh, no, that was a catch. And then they gave that one up to the Stallions. But other than that, I felt like the Panthers played a very clean game in terms of just penalties, or not penalties, turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still great, and the self-awareness of head coach Mike Nolan at halftime to be like, look, we were up last year against this same team, and we lost that game. So we know where we're at, and very mindful of that, so good for them. And how about, I believe they announced that he was announced Offensive Player of the Year, Bryce Perkins.
Oh.
I think they announced a couple of awards today for the UFL season, So the Panthers got a lot going, in their favor going into the UFL championship this week, which we'll get to in a second.
All right. And also on Sunday, it was the XFL Conference Championship game. The DC Defenders defeated the St. Louis Battlehawks in St. Louis, 36-18. DC was up 20-6 at halftime, and I think they controlled this game for most of it. It's a little surprising. St. Louis has been a really good team, especially at home, and they had a big crowd there, rooting them on. But DC pulled out the win and advanced to the championship game.
Yep.
So that sets up for this coming Saturday, the UFL championship game, which is going to be played in St. Louis. It's going to be the Michigan Panthers versus the DC Defenders. Both teams are 7-4 this year with their playoff wins. The Defenders did lose the 2023 XFL championship game to the Arlington Renegades a few years ago. So
last year.
Well, it says 2023. Wasn't that 2 years ago?
Oh,
it was XFL.
I guess it is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
So
Because I saw a crazy graphic that said of the 4 teams in the XFL conference right now, 3 of the 4 have all hoisted that trophy, whether it be the XFL outright or now the XFL Conference Championship that's been integrated into the UFL. And the only team that hasn't done it, the Battlehawks. And they've had that game in their stadium 2 years now.
Yep.
Or opportunities even last year for the Battlehawks to go to the game, and they lost to the Brahmas last year. So the Battlehawks just, hey, we like your venue, but they can't play in this game. What they need to do, and what I hope happens, is that Ford Field gets the UFL championship at some point.
That would be nice.
They've been. I know it's not going to be 30,000 like what St. Louis is pulling out, but I think it's still would be a great venue for hosting a championship game. You got the Dome.
Yep.
You got the Panthers' attendance has been on the rise. I think you put any sort of good football game there, you're at least going to get some numbers. So. Hopefully they look into that in the future. That, and I'm a little greedy, and I would love to drive 2 hours instead of driving the 10 hours or whatever it was to St. Louis. Not that we're making that trip this weekend since you're going to a baseball game for some dumb reason.
It's Father's Day weekend. One of my other kids is taking me.
And he's taking you to a football. He's not taking you to a football game?
No.
He must not love you as much as me, because I'm prepared to go to St. Louis, road trip style, but no, you're going to go to a baseball game.
No, we're going to see his wife's favorite team play against the Tigers.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty... I wish I could make it.
It'll be fun.
It'll be a good time.
It'll be a good time, yes. All right, so let's move on to the National Arena League playoffs, and Adam is going to talk about those games.
Yes, we sure are. The National Arena League, down to their final 4 teams, 2 division championships on the line this past weekend, and we start off in the American division, which saw the Beaumont Renegades take on the Columbus Lions. this is the first year expansion Renegades, 8-1. They've dominated this division all year long, and they've only lost to the Columbus Lions, who are sitting at 5-4 going into this game. This battle was historic as Beaumont pulled through and got the victory, 56-45, punching their ticket in their inaugural season to the National Arena League Championship game. Can you tell that I was trying to read an AI summary of this game?
Yeah, I knew something was up.
I couldn't catch this game up. But hey, good for Beaumont, a first-year team.
Sure, yeah.
Pulling this win off, very impressive against traditionally a very good team in the Columbus Lions, regardless of what league they've been in.
Columbus has been, in championships and championship games, it seems like every year for the last 10 years. Beaumont comes in and defeats them first year out. Good for them. Good for Beaumont.
Yep. And then in the other game, in the National Division Championship, the Omaha Beef took on the Colorado Spartans. This was a heck of a game. Both of these teams deserved to go to the championship. The Spartans have been really good. Mm-hmm. The Beef, usually also traditionally a very good team. The Beef, a staple in indoor/arena football over the past 25 years. They have, God, even before dial-up days, I felt like we talked about the Omaha Beef.
They've been around forever. I mean, teams like the the Omaha Beef and the Sioux Falls Storm, teams like that in the Midwest or the middle of the country there, they've been around forever and always played great football. A lot of championships in those teams out there.
Yeah, so the defending champion Omaha Beef at 7-1 hosted the Colorado Spartans at 7-2. This was a thrilling rematch. A game that, again, didn't get to catch. I don't even know where was this on YouTube again? I totally missed it.
I'm not sure.
But at the end of the day, the Beef ended up taking this one 71-54, clinching their second consecutive national division title. So they're going back to the championship game to defend their crown against a Beaumont Renegades team that beat them this season.
Yeah.
So this should be an interesting, entertaining game. And I believe even Tommy Armstrong, the quarterback for the Beef, was retired and came back to play for the Beef in this game, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm not super brushed up on my NAL. I just know the scores. I know who's been winning. Mm-hmm. And all I know is somebody came out of retirement for the Beef. And I know that the Beaumont Renegades are in their first year and playing in a championship game. So we got a couple of great storylines going into next week's championship game, which will be played on Monday night. So we're going to have Monday Night Football again next week, but this time in the NAL, as the Omaha Beef at 9-1 will take on the Beaumont Renegades at 9-1. This will be on the National Arena League YouTube channel. We have those details
right
there.
In Beaumont, Texas.
In Beaumont. So the first-year team will get to host this game.
Yep.
At the Doggett Ford Arena in Beaumont, Texas. So if you are anywhere near there and you want to see a championship game Monday night next week, go check them out.
It should be a really good game.
I hope so. I'll have to definitely flip on YouTube and try to check that out.
Yep.
I know we don't really watch a whole lot of NAL that kind of falls through the cracks for us, but we still try to keep up with the scores, whatnot.
Sure.
So good for them and good for Beaumont. You pulling for one of these two?
I think I'm rooting for Beaumont to win this game. The first year and the Omaha Beef, they've been good for so long. I said, let Beaumont.
And they won it last year, so you can take an L Beef. I mean, don't do it on purpose, but I mean, don't be sad if you lose.
Yeah, I'll be rooting for the Renegades.
So we got two people. Okay, so we're both rooting for the Renegades, which means the Beef will probably take it.
Probably.
All right. And with that, we're going to now throw it over to Randy, who's going to now talk about Week 1 in the Canadian Football League. It's back, everybody.
Yes. Oh, so happy to watch.
Praise the maple trees and the Mounties. The Canadian Football League is back.
So much good football this past week. It started out on Thursday night with the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeating the Ottawa Red Blacks 31-26. This was a kind of a close game. Ottawa had to rally towards the end, but it kind of fell short. So they, Rough Riders came away with a win as expected. I kind of expected the Rough Riders to win, and they did. So it was just great to see Thursday Night Football. Then on Friday night they had another game. It was Montreal defeating Toronto 28-10. Nick Arbuckle got the start in this one. He was your Grey Cup champion from last year, filling in for Chad Kelly. And Chad Kelly had been in training camp and had been practicing all week long, but the team just decided that he wasn't quite recovered from his leg injury that he suffered in the playoffs last year. So they started Arbuckle. He did okay, but this was Montreal's night. They looked really, really good.
It sounds eerily familiar to Toronto's story last year. Remember, because didn't they start off the season and Chad Kelly was out because of the suspension?
Yes.
So they had Arbuckle, I believe, and I'm blanking.
Yeah, I forget the other quarterback.
They had the other quarterback that we liked. They kind of played both those guys for several weeks until Chad Kelly came back. They kind of made that push at the end of the year, and obviously Chad Kelly gets hurt in the middle of the Eastern Finals, and Arbuckle fills in, gets them there, and then wins the Grey Cup. So,
right.
I mean, we'll see. Maybe it'll just take some time, but they had some injuries there. But Montreal, as we mentioned on our CFL Weekly recap show on YouTube, everybody, that Montreal has just always had a good team the last few years.
Yes,
so
they have.
not surprised if they came out on top with that one.
Yeah, but the Argos also committed 4 turnovers in the game, so
that never helps.
That never helps. Nope.
Unless you're Jared Goff and you throw 5 interceptions and you still somehow win the football game. Praise be to Goff.
That was that was an awesome game, but boy, I don't want to have to sit through that one again because
that's the exception
to the
rule.
A very trying game to watch as a Lions fan. Then there were 2 games on Saturday. It was the Calgary Stampeders over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 38-28. Again, in this game, Hamilton had to make a rally at the end, and they fell short once again. So Calgary gets the win there. This was they were touting it as their 80th birthday celebration, which I don't know. I'm assuming that means that's their 80th season because I think they were founded in 1945, but there's no patch on their uniform. Saying
you don't have to do a patch for every
season.
Anniversary.
Well, yeah, but everybody else did. The last couple of years, you got the
but
Elks
75,
did one,
but 80. I don't know. You rarely see an 81. Like the Lions never had our Detroit Lions had a 75th and then a 90th. So they didn't do an 80th anniversary patch. I'm just saying.
Whatever, an excuse to sell patches or pins at their store. I would buy one. I bought an Elks mug with the 75th logo on it, so that's part of my mug collection now.
Yeah.
But. Oh, well. Anyway, they brought back a lot of former players. So Doug Flutie was on the sidelines, and a lot of videos of him talking to reporters and interacting with players and watching the game from the sidelines.
So you're a massive Doug Flutie fan. I'm sure that did your heart good.
I wonder if he rolled up there in his Batmobile.
God, I hope.
He's got that 66. I wonder how that would be driving through the customs in a Batmobile. Hi, I'm Doug Flutie, and I right this way, sir.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to have some clout up there where he can just go wherever the heck he wants. I'm sure he's got like a get out of jail free card up there or whatever they do up there. Do people even go to jail in Canada? How's that work?
Yeah, I'm sure they do. And then the last game of the weekend was the BC Lions over the Edmonton Elks, 31-14. Quarterback Nathan Rourke, he looked magnificent.
It took him a while to get going.
Yeah. Now I watched all 3 of these games, or all 4 of these games. I watched the first 3 completely. The last game I stopped it because it was getting to be midnight, and I couldn't stay up anymore. So I recorded it, and that was the best half of football. The second half that I missed because I watched the highlights, and holy mackerel, what a second half they had. 3 touchdowns for Nathan Rourke, and just. Great highlights all around by everybody. And, Trey Ford, Nathan Rourke, 2 Canadian-born quarterbacks meeting in Week 1 for the first time ever in CFL history. And this is I was really looking forward to this game. It did not disappoint. The score could have been a little bit closer, but both of these quarterbacks are going to be really, really special up there this year. So great things are coming from both of them.
Hey, every week I love seeing these teams improve and these players improve. So hopefully, as the season goes along, we see a little more improvement out of Trey Ford. And like I said in our show, that team's got to just let him play.
Yep.
They have to give him some support. They got Fajardo as their backup quarterback to mentor him.
Yep.
But the moment that they pull him for Fajardo, that's when I know Trey Ford's got to be done, right? This has got to be the make or break year. We've been talking about Trey Ford for 2 or 3 years now.
I don't know.
And he has just not been able to stick, and this team has not been able to win. So I think this is a big make or break year for him and for Rourke even. I mean, we've talked about Rourke for years, and what they amounted to with that. So
well, he had a bad year last year.
He did. Then he went and jumped
back
around the NFL for a little bit.
Yep.
So I don't know. I just feel like we've been hearing about these guys for years, and I'm not discounting their talent whatsoever, but at what point do you go, all right, we've given you enough shots, we got to move on?
Yeah. I don't know.
Time will tell. The great CFL soap opera
Somebody will
has
pick
begun.
up Trey Ford or Nathan Rourke.
Probably.
But we shall see. And then on by was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, so they have yet to play a game. They'll be highlighted next week. All right, so that's it for the CFL. We're going to move on to the AF1, and Adam's going to talk about these.
Yeah,
two
it's
games.
very weird talking AF1 on this podcast in particular because the last 12 weeks they've been our top, league we've been talking about on the scoreboard, but it gets pushed down because of playoffs and whatnot. But it's week 13 in the AF1. We had 3 games this past weekend, a Saturday, a Sunday, and a Monday night game we're going to get into. And we're going to start off with the Saturday night game, which saw the Salina Liberty upset the Southwest Kansas Storm 65-63. This game was on Evergreen now on Saturday, and then they re-showed the game on Sunday on Vice TV. We're going to get to that in a bit because I have some thoughts on that.
You weren't happy about that.
It was just perplexing. We'll get into it. But look, Southwest Kansas was up at one point, 25-9 at the end of the first. And then the Storm led 32-23 at halftime. So the makings of a good game, but it did look like the Storm were pretty much in control of this. But at the end of the third quarter, the Storm's lead was chipped down to 46-39. And then the Storm were leading 63-62 at the end of the game when a controversial call gave the Salina Liberty a chance at a field goal with just seconds left on the clock. The Storm picked off a pass seemingly to ensure the win for the Storm, but after a lengthy review, I don't even know what was happening. Maybe you can help clarify, Randy. The Storm interception was overturned due to an illegal defensive penalty, giving Salina a chance for a last-second field goal attempt. Bailey Hale kicked his only field goal of the game, a 22-yarder for the Salina win as time expired. Don't get me wrong, I love the drama, but as I was watching this game live on Evergreen now, I couldn't understand what the referee was saying. So any of that explanation, even the broadcast, I don't feel like said anything on Evergreen now, got none of the explanation for what I just witnessed. I saw people screaming. I saw Jerry Kurz just sitting on the side of the dasher board talking. They had somebody on a speakerphone. It was pure chaos.
Yeah. Weren't they talking to the league about
I'm like, you're talking to the league. Jerry
at?
Kurz is right here. So I don't know. I don't know what was happening. Even this explanation for a penalty, I didn't get what exactly
illegal
happened.
defense, I don't know what that entailed. I couldn't tell
if it was
you.
illegal defense, clearly a linebacker must have been out of position. But
I don't know.
I didn't get the exact explanation. Didn't see it. So here's where my rub comes from. I didn't see the league address it that night, and the league never on their official social media put the score to this game. They didn't acknowledge it, other than when you go to their website. Yes, they tweaked, put the score here, there, but there was no article about the game that night. There was no stats from the game that night. They totally were like, well, we know the game happened, but since it's not getting nationally televised till tomorrow now, the rebroadcasting of it, we're going to treat that as it was live. So as this game is going on, a rebroadcast, mind you, that's what I saw the official league tweeting out as if this game was happening live, and I'm like, what? I get that it's your nationally televised game, but I thought it was absolutely silly and ridiculous that that's how they handled that. The game happened the night before. We watched it. I watched it. I'm sitting there watching them post highlights like, oh, we got a good game brewing. I'm like, yeah, I know, because the game ends with a game-winning field goal by Salina. What are we doing? It was just one of the stupidest, and that's right, I know the AF1 guys listen to us sometimes. That was plain stupid. Maybe you could give me some reasons why. Well, it makes sense for the league to do it all as the game is on national people who are going to catch the game that aren't already in the know won't care if you're already tweeting out about it the night before.
Well, I think the Oregon Lightning Corpus Christi game was supposed to be the Vice game.
It was. It got flexed out or whatever.
Yeah.
But because of probably everything else was already situated, that they're like, well, we can't technically move the game to Sunday now. That'll be the issue with this national television product, where even though they want to have that game, which is the right call, putting them on Vice is the right call.
Sure.
But they couldn't get Vice to do the game Saturday night. I mean, I get they got their own programming block, but what are you bumping? The fifth re-airing of Shadows of the Ring or whatever that wrestling show is? You tell me that Vice couldn't have bumped that for live sports? I don't know. It's just silly. I'm sure there's more that goes into it behind the scenes. I just thought it was weird and odd and irritating that that's how the league handled this. Like, oh, you couldn't even put up stats to that game at all till you aired it on national television. When I literally could go back and just rewatch the game the next morning on Evergreen Now. But you're gonna wait till the national. I don't know. I just thought it was dumb and stupid, and we're gonna move on because I could probably spend more time on this. But look, good for Salina. This team is awesome. I love this Salina Liberty team. They're resilient. They came back. The Storm, again, this is the second time this year that they've kind of blundered the ending of a game. I don't know if that's on the coaching or if that was just bad circumstance or if Salina just was that resilient to where they made it happen. It's probably a combination of everything, but good for Salina to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, well, you love that chaos.
I love chaos, and it is chaos as a Bruin is happening here in the AF1 postseason, or about to. We'll get there in a second.
Okay.
All right. Then on Sunday, the Oregon Lightning took on the Corpus Christi Tritons. They defeated the Tritons 40-24. Corpus Christi started up looking good. They were up in this game, but a bit of a snooze fest. It was 18-12 at halftime. And then in the second half, Oregon outscored the Tritons 28-6. It's the sixth straight loss for Corpus Christi after starting the season 3-0. Obviously, we've talked about the roster upheaval, all that. Good for Oregon. Seemed like they had an okay crowd. The announcers, I was listening to them, and they were talking about like, "Oh, we got a great game here in the third quarter," when it was 18-12. I'm like. Yeah. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I have an issue with some of the announcers they've got. I mean, they're local, and a lot of these guys are more familiar with the indoor game than the arena game, and so they're saying things sometimes that I'm like, no, that's not right, and so that's my little pet peeve.
Yeah, and I get it. You know, the local guys, I think it's cool. They're giving them shots to be on a broadcast that can literally be streamed across the planet. So it's a good platform for these guys. So I have no beef with that. But you're telling me that the league can't just hand out a little pamphlet that says, here's the basics. These are how points are. Here's certain situations. Like, just then go from there. Because a lot of it, you know, if you're a football fan, you're attuned to a lot of, like, generalities on how the sport works, which these guys do. But then there's certain nuances that make this game so unique. Right. That, you know, give them some bullet points. So that they're, you know, going in, they know. Because, like, if you're watching a CFL game, you probably don't know right off the bat as you're watching, like, oh, they have 12 guys on the field. That's a little nuanced thing. Or, like, oh, wait a minute, why did they punt on third down? You know, there are little intricacies to each of these variations of football in the world of football that, you know, you got to, it's weird adjusting to. Or, like, even I'll have to sometimes sit down and be like, oh, yeah, I got to rules. I got to remember to change my mindset watching arena, because over the weekend we had so much great stuff.
Yes,
we went from UFL, arena, Canadian. Right. So I was watching a bit of everything over the weekend. And you just gotta have that switch in your brain ready to go.
Yeah, there were times when my switch wasn't working very well because it did get confusing with all the different types of football.
Were you wondering why there were only 11 guys during the UFL games? And
it was just weird. I had to keep wrapping my head around. Oh, okay, now I'm stuck in these rules as opposed to something else.
But so the Lightning get the victory, and then that led into Monday night. So then Monday night saw the Billings Outlaws take on the Nashville Cats. This was a game that, you know, very eagerly anticipated. A lot of playoff stuff on the line, and we got an interesting game here because the Outlaws came out and just pretty much controlled this game from the jump. 51-34 was your final score here. They started off, when I turned the game on, I was like, oh crap, that's right, the game's on. Because it's 8 o'clock on a Monday night. And when I first turned on the game, I literally caught the first touchdown play. And then the ensuing kickoff was a deuce. So Billings opened this game up 9-0 and never looked back. They even got a safety in there somewhere, I believe.
Yeah. I think the first or second play after the deuce, they sacked the quarterback in the end zone for a safety.
So it was like 11-0.
11-0.
Yeah. Darius Prince, you know, had an outstanding game. Dean Faithful, the kicker for the Outlaws, had a great game too. He had a couple of deuces.
At least 2 or 3.
He looked great. Let's see. So we got that point. I was going off script, so I see your script has a lot of these notes already. The Outlaws led 11-6 at the end of the first quarter. Billings was up 31-22 at halftime. Then at the end of the third, Billings stayed in the lead, 45-22. Nashville completely shut out in the third quarter. Again, that's one of our things when you talk arena. It's like you cannot under any circumstances, go a full quarter without scoring points. That is a bad sign. The Billings defense played absolutely
out of their minds.
Yeah, this was the game they needed.
Yeah.
Because that defense has been a big issue all year long, pretty much. And it seems like they finally got something to click against a very good Cats team.
Yes.
But I also think that this Cats team has been sliding. They had the scare against Corpus Christi, and now this against Billings. The last thing you needed was to let this Billings team feel like they, got a shot.
Right.
And now Billings has a shot.
Yep.
They never trailed during this game. And we'll talk about the standings here in a second because this gave Billings a lot of life going into the final week of the regular season. But rounding out week 13 on by the Wolfpack and the Albany Firebirds. So your standings after 13 weeks, the Albany Firebirds are your number 1 seed right now at 9-0. Your number 2 seed still is currently the Southwest Kansas Storm at 7-4. The Nashville Cats still clinging onto that 3rd seed at 5-4, and the Salina Liberty now at 5-5 hold that 4th spot. But look out behind you as the Billings Outlaws sit at 5-6 and makes everything interesting going into next week. And I believe, after doing some quick math, and I could be wrong, the Oregon Lightning at 5-7 are still technically alive. I'm not 100% sure. The league has been really slow about dealing out the official
Yeah, normally on the standings they'll put like a little plus sign. These
the AF1 hasn't done that at all.
Qualified for the playoffs.
But I'm just saying, a few days later after the games are played, they'll finally be like, oh, by the way, Albany clinched the number 1 seed. And this was 3 days after the week was done. I'm like, wait, it took you guys that long to do math?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
It takes me that long to do math.
I mean, us, it makes sense. Then Corpus Christi, who is eliminated at 3-6, and then the Washington Wolfpack 2-9 also eliminated. 4 games this weekend. We don't have those right here in the script, but we will talk about that on our AF1 recap show, which you guys can check out on YouTube Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
So now we're going to throw it over to Randy, unless you have anything you want to say about the AF1.
Nope.
All right, well then let's talk some indoor football, Randy. They had some action. Why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, a full slate of games for Week 12 in the IFL. On Friday night, it was the Green Bay Blizzard over the Iowa Barnstormers, 52-32. On Saturday, it was the Jacksonville Sharks over the Arizona Rattlers, 54-48. The Massachusetts Pirates over the Fishers Freight, 40-23. That's 8 straight losses for the Fishers Freight team. Sorry about that. Let's see. Also on Saturday, the Quad City Steamwheelers over the San Antonio Gunslingers, 51-37. The Vegas Nighthawks over the Northern Arizona Wranglers, 63-43. Bay Area Panthers over the Tulsa Oilers in a close one, 44-41. And finally on Saturday, it was the San Diego Strike Force over the Tucson Sugar Skulls, 58-42. So looking at the IFL standings, in the East, it's the Quad City Steamwheelers on top with an 8-2 record. Green Bay and Jacksonville at 7-3. Tulsa Oilers at 6-4. Massachusetts Pirates at 4-5. Fishers Freight at 2-8. And the Iowa Barnstormers at 1-8. Then in the Western Conference, it's the Bay Area Panthers at 7-2. Arizona Rattlers at 7-3. Vegas Nighthawks 6-4, along with the San Diego Strike Force at 6-4. Tucson Sugar Skulls at 3-6. San Antonio Gunslingers at 3-7, and the Northern Arizona Wranglers at 1-9.
Did you see some of the uniforms this past weekend in the IFL?
No, I didn't catch a whole lot of IFL.
Okay, so the Green Bay Blizzard had some cow uniforms, so they had spotted uniforms.
I did see a picture of that, and I had forgotten about it until you reminded me. So thank you for that visual.
You're welcome. And in that game, Iowa was up 13-0 to start that game, and they just totally blew it. And then I think Iowa's head coach was getting into it with some fans. I don't know if you saw that video. That was pretty crazy. Some fans doing some John, and there was a clip I saw of him yelling back, and he even made a statement, I think, on X about some of these fans. So, I don't know, just very interesting seeing heated coaches. The other uniform I want to bring up is our Fishers Freight. We're wearing was it breast cancer awareness kind of uniform? It was purple and pink.
I did not see it.
Oh, yeah, you should go check that out. It was a totally new-looking uniform. Yeah. Then they wore a white helmet. I don't know. Those are the ones I caught this week, and they're like, oh, those are interesting.
Well, you are the uniform guy.
I am.
Love picking apart uniforms.
I love uniforms. What can I say?
All right, we're going to head south of the border into Mexico for La Liga de Fútbol Americano Profesional. This was week 6 down there in the LFA. On Saturday, it was the Mexicans improving to 5-0 over the undefeated Bears, who are now 5-1 by the score of 16-3. First loss for the Bears. This was a battle of two 5-0 teams taking place, and I thought the Bears would do a little bit better than just only being able to put up a field goal, but no, they lost 16-3 and suffered their first loss of the season. Also on Saturday was the Black Roosters over the Dinos, 33-24. The Leaders defeated the Archangels, 27-23 in a close game. Then on Sunday, it was the battle of the 0-5 teams, two winless teams. Somebody was going to get their first win, and it turned out to be the Raptors shutting out the Kings, 34-0. First win for the Kings. They're now 1-5, and the Kings dropped to 0-6.
Wow,
yeah.
Yeah, those schedule makers couldn't have wished for a better situation. Hey, our two winless teams and our two undefeated teams.
Somebody's going to get a win, and somebody's going to get their first loss.
Heck yeah. So, I mean, stinks at the Osos loss, because I love saying the name every week. But, that just gives you something, hey, going forward, that was our litmus test. Now we know we got to do a little bit better. So
now they've gone up against, they went up against the other best team in the league, so now they see what they're up against.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll make adjustments and come back stronger.
Yes, for sure. All right, so that means I get to take over now. And we're going to talk about the European League of Football, a league that is now in week 4 of their 2025 campaign, and there already seems to be a team kind of taking the lead and to me, looking like the front runner to take this championship, even though it's only week 4, but we'll get to them. On Saturday, we had 3 games, starting with the Hamburg Sea Devils defeating the Berlin Thunder 31-14. Then the undefeated 4-0 Vienna Vikings just continue winning as they defeated the Tyrol Raiders 41-7, and this Vienna Vikings team, a team that lost in the ELF championship game last year, has just been on an absolute tear. They look like a team on a mission. They're putting up the numbers. Watch out for the Vikings. I'll give them that. Yep. They might be the team to beat in the ELF for the remainder of the season. All right, then we had the Madrid Bravos defeat the Verifar Enthroners 45-7. This knocks the Enthroners down to 0-4 on the season. Then on Sunday, we had 4 games, starting with the Prague Lions defeating the Vroclaw Panthers 45-13. Then the Paris Musketeers took out the defending champion Rhein Fire 31-7. On Sunday, my Frankfurt Galaxy got a big win against the Cologne Centurions, who are now 0-3. They won this game 47-15, the Galaxy did. Glad to see my Galaxy on top for a change. And then on Sunday, the Stuttgart Surge defeated the Munich Ravens 36-28. That was the first loss of the year for a very good Ravens team. Mm-hmm. And then on bye, Randy's Nordic Storm at 3-0. And then the Helvetic Mercenaries are 0-3. And with that, we're going to throw it over to Randy, who's coming back up to the States to talk a little Women's Football Alliance.
Yes, week 5. Last week, we were like a week behind because they weren't getting their scores updated on the website. They finally did get all their scores updated, so I had a list of scores from May 31st because I didn't know if they'd get them uploaded in time this week, but they did.
Have you been paying attention to their Instagram page like was suggested to us?
No.
Oh, you've been okay. I know you're not internet savvy. Well, you aren't.
I'm not a big fan of Instagram.
Why not? What's
I don't know.
Instagram?
It's too different. I mean, I understand Facebook, I understand Twitter, but what's the other
Instagram
one? Instagram is just too different. You can't just like put a link to someplace else and stuff like that. So
shout out to
I don't know.
Brian Lewis for hitting us up and saying, hey, you can always check out the WFA's Instagram.
He was trying to help us out, and I'm sorry I didn't.
That you're terrible at the gram.
Well, like I said, they do have the scores, or they did have the scores this week. Yes, I did see what he was talking about. They posted some random scores, which is great, and I appreciate the help there. But here's the scores that I picked out for this week. From last week, it was the Iowa Phoenix over the Minnesota Minx, 14-8. The Salt Lake Wildcats over the Wasatch Warriors, 70-8. And the Oregon Cougars over the SoCal Magic, 26-6. And then this past weekend, The scores are as such: the Palm Beach Coyotes shut out the Orlando Anarchy 40-0. Baltimore Nighthawks over the Atlanta Rage 51-28, and probably the game of the week or the game of the year in the WFA, the Cali War defeated the Minnesota Vixens 64-61.
Whoa, were they playing arena ball?
I don't know, but that must have been a heck of a game to be at. Hopefully, they had a decent crowd for it. So we'll see.
There are 2 teams in Minnesota, by the way. I'm just going to
Yes, yep. Okay. You got the Minx and the Vixen.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yep, different towns. I couldn't tell you which is which, but
okay.
And then so we're all caught up now for the WFA. So now let's move it on over to Adam for the Arena League.
That's right. We're going to finish out this week's World of Football scoreboard talking about the Arena League, a league that where when I've been watching highlights and I see that you got a bunch of pillars in the way, you might need to rethink how you video these broadcasts. But here are your scores. On Saturday, the Eau Claire Axemen defeated my Ozarks Lunkers 49-44. Do you know what a lunker is, Randy?
Yes, it's a fish.
It's a humongous fish. That's what it is. Shout out to the Lunkers. I have pledged my allegiance to them. Did you ever listen to their Lunkers song?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think? Was it great?
Luckily, it did not turn into an earwig where I couldn't get it out of my head, but
it was a banger, wasn't it?
It was okay.
Hey, keep it up, Lunkers. You're doing great.
They're having fun with this team.
They are
right
having
there.
fun. I'm digging it. Now, if they could just send me a chrome mini helmet, that would be great. I'm just kidding. You don't have to send me anything. I got to buy a shirt. Anyway, then also Saturday saw the Duluth Harbor Monsters defeat the St. Joseph Goats 46-45. Another close game. Both these games, first 2 games, very close here.
Yep.
Then on Sunday, the Iowa Woo defeated the Hot Springs Wise Guys 44-26. Thank you. I forget the guy who commented, but he corrected us saying that we said Springfield. You had that in the script. It was Springfield.
Yep. It's Hot Springs.
It's Hot Springs.
Yep.
The Wise Guys. Way to go, Randy, for that typo. I made sure to edit that today in the script before we got rolling.
Well, this was another league that was impossible to find their scores on.
2 weeks in a row now.
And I ran across it accidentally. I saw they had a game going on, and on their website they had a live thing where you could watch the game, I guess. And I clicked on that, and that in turn led me to another page where they actually do have their scores. But my problem is it's not easily accessible from the main page of the website. And I've got it bookmarked now, so I can just jump back to it next week after the games are played and get the scores. But man, that is frustrating. You go to a site and you want to see a banner across the top that'll take you to the standings. It'll take you to the scores. You know, they have a graphic for the schedule for the whole season, but they don't update that. It's just you don't know who won what game. But
okay, so I'm on their website right now. How do I find it? I'm clicking on the tab button here. And I'm just seeing about the league, stats. Oh, I would assume you would hit stats. Would that take you straight to the scores?
No.
Oh, I'm getting an invalid object. I'm trying to find on my phone. That link did not work. What if I click on shop? Let's see what happens here. That link did not work. So your mobile version of your league website's got some work to do there.
Yeah. Well, I looked through my laptop, and like I said, I bookmarked it, so it's I've got a link to the main site, and then I forget what it says for the stats and stuff or whatever. But it's a separate link that I have now. So, but yeah, get that fixed on your website. Make it easy for people to find your information if they want to find it. You'll get more fans that way.
And you know why we stuck you at the end of the scoreboard, the Arena League? Because you screw up again. We just lop off the end of that segment. Bam, done. We done talking about you.
Yeah.
Except for the Ozark Lunkers. I mean, my team. I got to talk about my team.
Yeah. Well, they're kind of my team, too.
It's a humongous fish, Randy.
Yeah, I know. I've seen the mascot. There used to be a restaurant down here in Michigan called Lunkers.
Oh.
It was like a bait shop, a fishing shop, and then they also had a restaurant. And it was down by where my brother Larry used to live.
Okay.
And he took us there one time. So it's not there anymore, but I guess that had been around for many, many years. Hey, let's go to Lunkers and get some bait, get some new fishing rods, and then we'll have lunch while we're there. It was good. It was a good restaurant. All right, well, that's it for this week's scoreboard. Thank goodness. And now let's talk about some more happenings in the world of football. We're going to talk about some NFL things. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers finally signs a 1-year, $13.65 million contract with the Steelers that includes a $10 million guarantee and has a maximum value of $19.5 million. The deal includes $5.85 million worth of playing time and team performance incentives that would make it up to the $19 million, whatever. And my question is this going to be Mike Tomlin's first losing season? That's kind of what I'm predicting, but we'll see.
We shall see. Like we mentioned up top, I think I don't see him winning a whole lot of games, even with a good Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I saw somebody. God, it might have been Greg James. I'm not sure. Somebody posted a thing where they have a picture of Aaron Rodgers with a Steelers logo on his forehead, and it's the guy from The Office going, no.
Michael Scott,
yeah, Michael Scott, whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I saw Aaron sent me a video. If you never watched the show Arrested Development, but there's a pair.
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Well, there's a pair of characters that are going through like separation or divorce or whatever, and they're talking about like, why do people even go through this? They don't even fix their problems or whatever. And the other character says, well, there's a lot of delusion, and people will cling on to anything that they think can make it work, even when it's not gonna. But it just might work for us. That's the Steelers. This Aaron Rodgers didn't work for anybody else, but he might work for us. Oh boy, Steelers, you are in for a year.
Out of all the teams that he could have signed with, the Steelers is not one that I would have picked out.
They should have made the trade for Kirk Cousins,
and especially waiting so long. I mean, OTAs are going on now.
I don't think they waited. I think they had this deal in place for a while, but Aaron Rodgers, being the diva he is like, well, I got some. What is it? Ayahuasca? Is that the drug or whatever?
I don't know.
He's like, I got some drug retreats I need to go on first, so I can't be back till like June. So why don't you guys wait? Then I'll show up to OTAs or whatever the heck's happening. I'll think about it.
Whatever.
And they hitched their wagon to that horse. That crazy conspiracy laden
horse. Oh, you said horse. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if I'm not even going to ask what you thought I said, this is a family program, Randy. So, is that it? Are we done talking about Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, let's call that the end of Aaron Rodgers talk for today.
Aaron Rodgers sucks.
All right, let's see. Former Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb signed a 1-year, $2.5 million contract with the Houston Texans. He's been hurt a lot lately, and I guess the Browns felt he'd never lived up to his potential because of the injuries and whatnot. So they finally parted ways.
Remember, that was gruesome. Remember when that happened?
No.
It was a gruesome leg injury. The fact that he's even back and playing is a good sign. And I mean, when he's good, he's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm wishing the best for him, but he's got a good situation down there. The Texans got a decent running back room, so I feel like they, he'll, even in any sort of rotational situation there with the Texans, that's a good fit. So good for them.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. The ownership structure for the Indianapolis Colts has been announced. The 3 daughters of Jim Irsay, who passed away on May 21st, will take over the team. All 3 have served as Colts vice chair / owners since 2012. The 3 Irsay daughters will assume new roles effective immediately for the team. Carly Irsay Gordon will become the owner and CEO of the team. Casey Foyt will be an owner and executive vice president, and Kaylin Jackson will become an owner and chief brand officer and president of the Indianapolis Colts Foundation. So congratulations to them, keeping that all in the family, keeping the team going.
So that does this now make it the 11th team in the NFL with a female owner?
I don't know, but they did that documentary a few years ago with 4 women. They had Virginia McCaskey and Mrs. Ford. God, who else they have? The Kansas City Chiefs owner there, Lamar Hunt's wife, and God, who was the other one? The Bears owner.
Oh, McCaskey.
Yeah.
Because I got a list here of the female prominent female owners or co-owners. So you got Virginia Hallis McCaskey with the Bears. Dee Haslam with the Cleveland Browns. She's a co-owner with Jimmy Haslam.
Okay.
So I guess she counts. Amy Adams Strunk of the Tennessee Titans. She is the controlling owner. Gail Benson of the New Orleans Saints is the principal owner, the widow of Tom Benson. Then you have Denise DeBartolo York of the the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
Co-owner and matriarch of the York family. Kim Pagula of the Buffalo Bills is a co-owner. Sheila Ford Hamp of the Detroit Lions. Jody Allen of the Seattle Seahawks, Janice McNair of the Houston Texans, and Darcy Glazer Kasowitz as the owner of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now you add the three ladies with the
Indianapolis
Colts.
Yep.
So does that make it 11? Well, clearly 11 teams then. But good for them. I thought it was cool the way they kind of announced it. They got the cool picture of the three of them.
Right.
So that's pretty neat. I was hoping like not a whole lot of other news would have happened this week to where that could have been our front picture.
Yeah.
But, still cool, interesting to see how they rolled that out.
And I guess Jim Irsay,
had this laid out.
For years, that who was going to take over, who was going to do what, and all that. And
so they got their roles.
They've been training for it for the last 14 years.
Right. So they got their roles, but they're all still co-owners, which is cool. So that's pretty neat.
Yep, sure is. And let's see, one other story. Michael Dixon of the Seattle Seahawks becomes the NFL's highest-paid punter. A 4-year extension he signed worth $16.2 million, $10.2 million guaranteed, with a maximum value of $16.7 million. You brought this up just a little while ago.
Anytime you see a headline that says somebody becomes the highest paid at their position, you got to talk about it. The highest paid punter in the NFL. All this dude does is punt, and he's making $16 million. 10 guaranteed just for punting. It's crazy. Makes me wish that I stuck with those punt, pass, and kick competitions back in the day, Randy. Why didn't you make me a punter?
I don't know. I was trying to make you a center like me.
Woof. Clearly, that did not go as planned. But I did end up as the center of attention whenever we were around.
Yeah,
so there you go.
You're always trying to be the center of attention. Yeah, I would think that Jack Fox would be up there for highest paid punter in the NFL.
So he got some sort of extension last year, the year before, right? I don't remember.
He's
Contracts are not our strong suit.
No.
That's for some other football nerds out there.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to some college news. I saw this the other day. Ohio State is adding premium seating to the south end zone in 2026, so they're going to be working on this for the next year. There will be 9 elevated field-level suites with 10-person capabilities located in front of the south stands, and 400 premium chairback seats situated on top of this line of suites. So they got suites, and then they've got premium seating on top of that for 400 people. Dang. Deposits for the 400 premium chairback seats, priced at $6,000 for the season, are now being accepted through June 27th. So you better talk to your fiance and see if you guys can get some tickets down there.
Over our dead bodies.
Each of the 400 chairback seats purchases will include full admission to the brand new 1922 club that will feature all-inclusive food and drink opportunities before, during, and after the game. All you can eat food. That's
again
$6,000.
If I have to enter the state of Ohio, that's a hard pass.
Yeah, this club 1922 is also going to be new in 2026, so that's another thing they're working on. So. Villanova, which is an FCS school, is joining the Patriot League as a football-only member in 2026. They are the third team to join the Patriot League as football-only members since May of 2024, joining former conference rivals Richmond and William & Mary from the Coastal Athletic Conference. So I don't know what's so cool about the Patriot League, but everybody wants to be jumping from the CAA to Patriot League right now. Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
That's very interesting that should be brought up because Villanova might. Well, I'll save that for later. If you guys watch the live show, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You got something on Villanova?
Well, yeah. We'll talk. I'll show you after.
All right.
After we get done.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. All right. Today's birthdays and anniversaries for June 10th. Coach Chuck Fairbanks was born on this date in 1933. He passed away in 2013 at the age of 79. From 1958 to 1966, he was a college football assistant coach at Arizona State, Houston, and Oklahoma. And then from 1967 to 72, he was the Oklahoma Sooners head coach. He then moved to the NFL, where he was the head coach and general manager of the New England Patriots from 73 to 78. He returned to the college ranks as a head coach at Colorado from 79 to 81, and he ended his coaching career in 1983 as the head coach of the USFL's New Jersey Generals. And let's see, now we're going to move to some obituaries. We've got 3 of them today. This is where we take a moment and we honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Our first one is Jim Marshall, a defensive end in the NFL and the Canadian Football League, has passed away at the age of 87. Marshall played college football at Ohio State and played 1 season in the CFL with the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 1959. He was then selected in the 4th round of the 1960 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. He played for the Browns just 1 season in 1960, and then joined the Minnesota Vikings, where he played for the next 19 seasons from 1961 to 1979. Marshall was a key member of the Vikings' famous Purple People Eaters defense and helped lead the team to 4 Super Bowl appearances. He was also, probably more famous for this, for his wrong way touchdown run in 1964 when he mistakenly returned a fumble 66 yards into his own end zone, resulting in a safety for the San Francisco 49ers. That's all anybody remembers him for.
Oh.
I did not know that he played in the CFL. I did not know he played and was drafted by the Browns. Everybody knows him as a Minnesota Viking. When you're there for 19 seasons, my gosh, so 21 pro seasons altogether for Jim Marshall.
And all he'll be remembered for really will be that play.
That'll be the one thing.
One of the most famous football follies ever, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but I think the Vikings did win that game. Even so,
okay.
If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to double check that. But yeah, Jim Marshall, very famous for that.
All right, our next obituary is that of Stephen Wright, a tackle in the NFL for 9 seasons, has passed away at the age of 82. Wright played college football at Alabama and was selected in the 5th round of the 1964 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers. He was also selected in the 8th round of the 1964 American Football League Draft by the New York Jets. He signed with the Packers and played for the team from 64 to 67, winning 3 straight NFL titles, including the first 2 Super Bowls with the Packers. He went on to play for the New York Giants from 1968 to 1969, the Washington Redskins in 1970, Chicago Bears in 1971, and the St. Louis Cardinals in 1972. How do you like that? He got drafted by the Jets, played for the Packers, and then instead of going to the Jets who wanted to draft him, he played with the New York Giants. I just think that's funny.
It's a lot of people back in the early days there of the NFL and the AFL didn't want to go to the AFL, so that's probably why. I don't know. And then finally, our last obituary today is that of Tom Rafferty, an offensive lineman in the NFL for 14 years, has passed away of a stroke at the age of 70. Rafferty played college football at Penn State and was selected in the 4th round of the 1976 NFL Draft by the Dallas Cowboys. He played his entire career with the Dallas Cowboys from 1976 to 1989, winning Super Bowl 12 with the team. All right, our upcoming events calendar. This Saturday, June 14th, the UFL Championship game in St. Louis. Michigan Panthers versus the DC Defenders. That game is at 8 p.m.
Is that on Fox or ESPN?
I don't know. I don't have it written down
Fox.
here.
I could be wrong, but I think it's on Fox.
Could be.
But looking forward to this. The girls are going to be out of town, so I'll have the house and the 70-inch TV all to myself. I might have a buddy over. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching this championship game. Yeah. Go Panthers.
I may not get there until halftime because I'm going to the Tigers game that day.
Are you coming over to my place to
no.
watch it?
Well, I wasn't planning to come there, but I'll be on my way back from a Tigers game in Detroit.
Boo.
By way of Fort Wayne and then back up to
Tigers shirt you just bought with the tag still hanging on it, and your Tigers hat from last year you bought.
Yep. So I'm all ready. I just hope it doesn't rain that day.
Oh, if you get a rain out, I mean.
Well, I meant to check the weather, see what the weather is supposed to be, because it seems like every time I go to a Tigers game, it's just so hot. Yes.
You got to get yourself a sun hat, bud.
And no, thank you. Tom Selleck style baseball hat's good enough for me.
It's a classic. That's a classic.
Yes, it is. All right, the weekend of June 27th, the Arena Football 1 championship game will be played. Tuesday, July 1st is going to be our 400th episode. Going to be doing it live at 6 p.m.
Well, you forgot to mention a championship game that's this Monday. You didn't have the NAL's championship game.
Oh, I did not have that on our... Okay.
We talked about it earlier, but we'll reiterate
You're
that
right.
This upcoming Monday, I'm scrolling back up for that date. I don't even see it on your thing. It's Monday, so whatever the date for Monday would be. Randy, help me out. I'm struggling here.
I'm looking.
It is Monday, June 16th.
Okay.
Is your National Arena League title game between the Beaumont Renegades and the Omaha Beef.
Okay.
There you go.
You're right. I neglected to add that.
You did neglect to do that.
And I don't have to add it for next week because it'll already have been played by then. So. Then Thursday, July 31st, the Hall of Fame game in Canton, our Detroit Lions against the Chargers. We do have tickets to that game, so we will be there.
Excited about that.
I haven't got a hotel yet.
I thought we were just driving down and driving back.
Oh, I don't want to drive all night to get home. I'm planning to get.
Then you better hurry up and get on a hotel soon or somewhere out of town.
Well, see, that's Hall of Fame weekend, so there's nothing in Canton. So I'm thinking I might have to get a room up in Cleveland, which is like a half-hour drive north, but that's fine. I don't mind driving a half hour after the game to get someplace where I can sleep for the night, and then we'll come back the next morning. So whatever, we'll see. Got time to figure that out.
Okay.
What did you have?
I was going to add something. I thought the championship game for the IFL was coming up, but you got till August, so you're in the clear there, sir.
All right. Let's see. You also highlighted Thursday, July 10th, the EA Sports College Football 26 video game is released. Nobody cares about that but you.
Hold on. Western Michigan today did release like a fun mock-up of the video game with it being Western themed. So I had the coach and a player.
I hadn't seen that.
Oh, yeah. And I saw somebody comment like, hey, send me that file so I can print that off and put it in my game when I buy the physical copy, because that actually would be pretty cool.
I did see. I didn't click on it, but I saw a link where somebody had an article of all the college coaches that have agreed to be in the game. Now, I don't know if they're paid the way the players are in this whole NIL thing, but
that's a story we neglected to talk about. Is the NCAA saying that schools can just straight up pay players? That's a story that we didn't add to the.
Yeah, that was so complicated. I was reading about that, and I couldn't understand what they were even talking about, so I didn't want to talk about it until I knew more about it.
Okay, well,
but
do your research. You got a week.
Yeah. And then let's see. Oh yeah, we already talked about the Lions game. So yeah, that's it for our upcoming events calendar. Anything pop up on your phone?
So there were a couple of news things I didn't bring up during the show because I figured we could just save them here till the end, because I know we're running a little long, longer than we normally like, but we're recording a little early today, so we'll be able to wrap up.
Okay.
I can make it home to dinner in time for a change.
Good for you.
Colorado's Deion Sanders is out of office dealing with an unspecified health issue. That's something I've been seeing all day today. And then let's see, in the NFL, running back J.K. Dobbins is signing with the Denver Broncos on a 1-year, $5.25 million deal. Good for him. Get your money. And that looks like all the breaking news as of right now that I can see.
Who was Dobbins with before? I don't recognize the name.
Well, he was with the Ravens, and then I believe last year he was with the Chargers.
Okay.
So now he is with the team I just said, the Broncos.
Okay. All right. That's it then?
That should be everything.
Okay. That's all the time we've got for this week. Don't forget to check out our World of Football merchandise at tpublic.com for
while it lasts, as long as it's not getting taken down by the NFL. Shoot, got that email today. Some more shirts coming down.
Yeah,
we'll deal with it. It's fine.
For the latest in football-related T-shirts, hats, mugs, and more from our merch store. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than Adam and I sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about football every week. Join us again next week when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
I'm Adam Snow.
We'll see you all again next week.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this installment of This Week in the World of Football. New episodes of the podcast are posted every Tuesday and can be found wherever good podcasts are found. You can find the World of Football on Facebook, Instagram, and X by searching for TWOF Kalamazoo or using the links down in the episode description. Head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the World of Football for more fun football-related content. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @The World of Football. Thanks for listening and hope to see you again next time.